Welcome back, everyone. You are watching Network Africa, coming to you live from our studios here in Lagos, Nigeria. We're taking you through major headlines across the continent. And now we're in Egypt. According to a cabinet statement, the country is in the final stages of negotiating an agreement with the International Monetary Fund to secure a $12 billion loan over 3 years, while they're targeting more loans totaling $7 billion annually. Now, the loan was part of the discussions in a cabinet meeting with which President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi held yesterday. The IMF delegation will start a 2-week visit to Egypt on July 30th to continue the talks. Now, years of unrest since the 2011 overthrow of longtime autocrat Hosni Mubarak have taken a heavy toll on both foreign investment and tourism, which, along with Suez Canal revenues and remittances from Egyptians working abroad, are the primary sources of foreign currency. Let's get more on the story, as we're now being joined by VOA's Edward Yeranian from Cairo. Thank you for joining us, Edward. It's always a pleasure to have you. Now, it appears as though the challenges being faced by the Egyptian tourism industry has taken a toll on the economy. Is that the case?
Well, the political turmoil that has beset the country over the last 5 years has created various issues with all of the major revenue-generating sectors of the economy, including the canal, although the canal is probably the least affected of all sectors. Tourism, unfortunately, is part of the general climate, the political climate. If you don't have stability in the country or a perception of instability in the country, it affects tourism. Of course, planes crashing and army helicopters firing on tourists in the desert have not helped the situation. But at the same time, I think Egypt is just one of those countries being affected by the global, or at least the Middle Eastern, instability that's been generated by the various political upsets, Islamic State group, Boko Haram, as you see in your corner of the world, and the various Al-Qaeda affiliates both across Northern Africa and in the Middle East. So, as I think we said a couple months ago when we were discussing the Egyptian tourism industry, Egypt is on practically everyone's bucket list to visit. So if they have the sense the country is stable, there's no problem in generating revenue from the tourism industry. And of course, the government is trying to give the impression that there's stability in the country. My perception on the ground is that despite the headline news of planes crashing occasionally and tourists being fired on by helicopters, that the situation here in Egypt is quite stable. It's much more stable than some of the countries in Europe right now. And I was just in France a couple days ago. France is probably more unstable than Egypt, and France continues to have tourism. It's a lot of it is perception, a lot of it is the news generated in the media, and much of the Western media has sort of looked down on Egypt after the political revolution, counter-revolution, coup, counter-coup, whatever you want to call them. So the tourism industry has been affected. I think that's the major issue with Egypt.
So let me quickly come in here, because, Edward, whether we like it or not, these are undeniable events that happened in Egypt. And for what it's worth, the media will have to report what it is that is happening in Egypt, and of course, indeed, across the world. But are you saying categorically that it is bad press that is actually affecting Egypt's economy, or the fact that Egypt is actually going through economic turmoil, whether or not these issues are being reported?
Well, clearly a little of both, but I think the bad press is more important than the turmoil, because, as I said, I think Egypt is on the ground is fairly safe, and you see that tourism in France has not been considerably affected by the events there, and you're seeing a lot of events over recent months, and so clearly it must have to do with bad press. And also, you must admit that there are regional issues here that are somewhat insoluble that are affecting the tourism industry. They're also affecting other major regional countries like Turkey. I mean, the Turkish tourism industry has been affected by all the unrest, the political turmoil, coups, counter coups, by explosions on the ground in various places. So Egypt is not alone in that case, and I think globally it depends on what the people think in their minds, what they see in the media as to whether they want to visit Egypt, and that would be the bottom line.
Iranian there for us in Cairo, VOA's Edward Iranian. All right, let's get the latest. You know, we've been following the story of the pending execution in Indonesia. Some Nigerian nationals will be executed if everything goes according to the Indonesian government's plan on Sunday. And we have the lawyer representing these Nigerians on the line right now with us. Thank you so much, Reina Gunao, for joining us again on Network Africa.
Yeah, hello.
Right, you are on live to us on Network Africa. What is the latest about these planned executions?
Yeah, so the execution in Indonesia is a part of the war on drugs of the government, which was declared by the president early this year.
Right, we understand that, and we do know that you are representing some Nigerians. Is that the case?
Yeah, right.
Will these executions go ahead as planned on Sunday? And is there any chance to appeal it?
Well, the execution actually will be conducted tonight at Jakarta time. It means maybe around 3 or 4 hours later from now.
Okay, if it will be conducted tonight, then there is a lead to diplomatic efforts. It does appear that could be done to reverse that. But are you aware that the UN human rights official expressed deep concern over the planned execution? They are urging Jakarta to put an end to unjust capital punishment. Are you aware?
I'm sorry, can you repeat? I cannot hear you clearly.
My question to you is that UN human rights officials have called the process of this execution so far unjust. What do you have to say about that as a lawyer representing some Nigerians in this case?
Hello, can you repeat? I cannot hear you clearly. Sorry.
All right, thank you so much. Renan Guanan, the lawyer representing the Nigerians in the planned execution. Actually, tonight, the media report says Sunday, but now it is tonight, according to Renan Guanan, the lawyer representing Nigerians in the planned execution in Indonesia. Let's take a break on the program. When we come back, we have more stories for you. South Africa is poised to head to the polls. The local government elections hold next week. We have details for you.